What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coach's Corner. And today I have the pleasure of introducing to you, my audience, Dave, the digital creator, or David Griffiths, according to the government. He is he is a powerhouse in the world of digital creation and content strategy, but also a celebrated gospel recording artist and educator. So he is joining us today, and as always, I like to go beyond the bios and let people tell their story, how they got to where they are. So with that said, David, thank you for coming on. What's going on in your world?
Oh man, I'm seeking to be a coach and to be coached, man. So I think I'm in the right place.
You're seeking to be coached, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it that you do in the digital space? Because you're the digital creator. What do you do in the digital space?
I'm very passionate about content creation.
Hmm.
I love doing it. I realized when I was teaching middle school, I realized that I created a project that was based on being a social media influencer. And I realized that as a teacher, I was doing all the things that a content creator was doing online. I
Hmm.
thought, oh, this is interesting. I've been very passionate about being creative as a musician, but I thought to myself, I really enjoy content creation. It's what I do as a teacher. I was a youth pastor as well, and I use that skill set. But I realize it's what everyone is going to need in the present, not even in the future. Even as we look at AI and what it can do, people need to understand the digital landscape, understand how do I get someone's attention? I only have a couple seconds to do it. What's the best way to get an algorithm to take the content that I'm posting and send it to more people?
Hmm.
Well, if I understand how to get people's attention, make sure that my content has value, that is solving a problem, a painful problem, then I have a better chance of doing it. So not only do I enjoy doing it, but now I help others learn how to do it so they can connect with the people they wish to serve.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, being in business, the social media landscape is can be challenging, and there's all kinds of gimmicks and stuff out there, and people who swear up and down they can change, they can do all this, they can get you all these followings, and I definitely have made some of those mistakes, bought into some of those schemes, and had to really work to overcome that. Still doing it as we speak. Um, what was of all the platforms, what was the most difficult one, and how did you overcome it?
Wow. Okay. So for 13 years,
Hmm.
I was on YouTube and
Okay.
I only had like a little over 100 followers.
Wow.
So when I was on there, I had a wrong concept of what I should be doing on social media. So during that season, I was focusing more into being a gospel recording artist and figuring out, okay, they say, they used to tell me I need to get emails at every concert, every event, and have an email list to start a fan base.
Sure.
But now they say I need to do social media. Oh boy. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just share whatever it is that I'm doing when I do it, and then, I'll develop this large following.
Hmm.
Well, the problem with that, and the problem honestly with a lot of people in their 50s and 60s who are on social media, is probably you were on Facebook and you thought of social media as the way that you share what's going on in your life with the people you went to school with. Oh, Johnny has a basketball tournament. Susie, she's in ballet, and we went on a trip to the Grand Canyon. Oh, wow. All your classmates, they want to see because they want also you to see what's going on with their kids and their grandkids. But when you think of social media in terms of business or in terms of ministry or in service, you have to create content for the people you wish to serve. So they don't care about Johnny. They don't really care unless you have value for them, and then they're curious about, well, who is this person? that's giving me value. Let me learn, oh, okay, well, they can relate to me on this level because they have children.
Yeah.
But people need to understand, um, I think it's Joseph Campbell who wrote about the hero's journey. This is a framework that's used with most of the successful movies that we see today. But there's also a version of this that has been used in business. And the idea is helpful for us as content creators. You are not the hero, you are the guide. Let me say that again. You are not the hero, you are the guide. So when you're creating a channel or when you're creating a web page, even, the idea is you want to create something for the hero. You want to help them. You want to help them on their journey. You want to help them get clarity on they need to do for something aspirational, or get clarity on how they can avoid being stuck in the painful situation that they're in.
Hmm.
You're the guide to help the hero on the hero's journey. So if you start making content with that in mind, you'll get people that'll start following you because you're helping them.
Hmm.
If then you happen to let them know about things in your journey that taught you lessons that now will help them, then they're interested in that. But if it's not connected into serving them or helping them, then they're not really going to want to follow you.
Yeah. Yeah. See. So I think you said YouTube, number one. YouTube is a difficult one. It's really, I mean, I see people who I believe have really good content, and then there's no views, or then you get all these people in your inbox that are talking about SEO, SEO. Then I hear SEO is dead. So how does someone, who's new to and is being bombarded? Because anytime you put out any kind of content, these people jump on you. What would you say to someone who's starting fresh? Like, I like the idea of being genuine and creating the content that speaks to the person you're trying to reach, but how does a person just get that out there with so many voices on social media?
Okay. I'm going to say something that I think will save a lot of people a lot of time. If you're starting out, here's what I think you should do. You should get really clear on who it is that you want to connect with. Before anything else, who is it that I want to find me here on this platform? Why is that important first? Well, if you want to go viral, if you want to play the game and, oh, maybe I can become an influencer and companies are going to pay me lots of money, you have to understand many people have gone viral and are not making a living.
Mhm.
Uh, And that's because they didn't get clarity on the front side to something that aligns with something that is monetizable or making money. In other words, if I give people something of value and they follow me for more of that, if you don't have a plan for the next step of value that you can offer them at a premium, then you're not going to make money. And then, but if you keep giving this similar value, they may stick around because you're giving them a lot of value. But for it to be a win-win situation, you need to define what's the value you're going to give for free, and then what's the
Mhm.
value that people need to pay for. And if you don't do that, you're going to have a problem. So I would say I had a coach when I first started on TikTok. TikTok was the place that really allowed me to learn how to do social media correctly. My coach said, "Hey, Dave, um, get eight to 10 things that you're passionate about and start posting. Your audience will tell you what it is they want."
Right.
Okay, so first of all, I would recommend, if you're starting, make a commitment for the next 90 days. You're going to post at least once a day, if not twice a day. The second thing in the commitment that I would like you to do is, you're making this commitment to do this for 90 days. So that means if I get crickets, if whatever, I'm going to keep doing it
Sure.
because I made this commitment. Because It's going to take a while for the algorithm to figure out what it is that makes sense in terms of what your content will serve best doing. The other thing is you're going to get better over that period as long as you do the next thing, which is now I have to make a commitment not only to doing this thing every day, but also reflecting and pivoting. So the reflection process is what worked, what didn't work. Let me look in the same genre as I'm posting in or about, and let me see what's working. Let me see what these high performing videos are. Oh, okay, well, let me just kind of storyboard. Let me just describe scene by scene what this, here's one that I like that's doing really well. Let me describe it. Okay, let me make my version of it
Hmm.
and let me see how that does. Because you already know the algorithm loves this. It's in your subject area. So that means if you do something similar but with your flavor and you follow the same pacing, what colors are they wearing? Is it close up like this, or is it full body shots? Is it, captions? Is it quick pace every second, every 2 seconds, something's changing? You study that and then you do your version of it. It doesn't need to be on a fancy camera, just with your cell phone. But you need to reflect on what's going on that you're doing, how people are receiving it, what's going on in your genre that's already doing well, and how can you take what you know is already doing well and apply it to your next post. At some point, the stuff that's working well that you're learning to apply, one, you're getting better at doing it. Two, over time, eventually something here will jump off over here. But at that moment, you need to be ready to double down on what works. So if it happens on day 57 and you didn't make this commitment to do it for 90 days, then you'll never get to learn the lesson. So I made a commitment that whatever it took, for 1 year, I was going to be laser beam focused on TikTok. And so I went through periods where I was growing a lot and periods where it seemed like nothing was happening. And then, at one point, I was at 650,000. I went out of town to a conference, and the conference was in Florida. And then I went to a funeral in New York. And by the time I got home, I was at 1 million. That seems like it happened quickly, but in reality, it was this process that I just described. Making a commitment, no matter what happens, I'm going to post every day, 2-3 times a day. I'm going to reflect on what it is that the audience is telling me. I'm going to reflect on what's already doing well in my niche, and I'm going to double down on whatever works. That is the secret.
I see. How much has your spiritual background influenced your social media presence?
It is the authenticity is what I believe in. I recommend to everybody. And so it is authentically a distinguishing feature of my content.
So let me push back really quick because there are people on social media who are doing things that aren't really who they are, but somewhere along the line it caught a buzz. And so they go, well, I'll just be this character.
Yes.
So you mentioned authenticity. So what would you say to someone who's like, hey, I made a video about this and people really love this? It's not really what I want to do, but that's every time I do something like that, I get what I'm looking for.
I would suggest that I'll name someone, Vanessa Lau. Vanessa Lau is a beast. She is an amazing content creator. She created a product that made her a millionaire. And Boss, I think it was Boss Graham Academy. And now she's doing something totally different. She took a year sabbatical to get her mental health back. And now she'll teach you the importance of authenticity versus just doing what you think makes sense because it's what's hot. Yes, you can do what's hot without being authentic, but what sense does it make if at the point where it takes off, now you have to keep doing the thing that you're not passionate about or you don't believe in?
Sure, fair enough.
So that for me, what I've seen is many people have done that, and it's become. I mean, I pray every day online. It could be stressful for me to make sure that all the things that I do happen every day, right? Now, if I'm doing something and it's not really who I am or what I believe in, it gets old really quick. Even when it jumps off and you're like, okay, great, payday's coming. There are so many people who just get burnt out and they don't want to do it anymore.
Hmm.
So it's better off to be authentic. And here's why. There's a mentor of mine. Her name is Pam Obasa. She's really great as a businesswoman, and she's based in the UK. When I first discovered her, I saw that her content, like the information she was giving, was beast. I was like, this is really good. But she didn't have that many followers. I had, at the time, I think on that profile, I had like 10 times as many followers as she had. But then I joined one of her programs, and she said, "Yeah, I'm getting ready in a few months to go to the ClickFunnels conference where I'm going to get a 2 Comma Club award." That means that she had a funnel or a landing page that did at least $1 million worth of business.
Hmm.
Oh, well, how is it she did $1 million worth of business, but she don't have 1 million followers?
Right.
Well, she was clear, like we said, the clarity part, she was clear on the revenue generating system that would accompany her content, which meant that she didn't need the thousands of followers that I thought that I needed,
Hmm.
because she had a plan that would leverage each well-aligned lead to revenue generation. So we don't need to have thousands of followers to have the life that we would love to have financially. We just need the right ones. And in order to do that, you need to have content that's aligned to a particular avatar, their pain point, and your unique solution.
So without too many specifics, obviously you want people to use your services. How does your coaching work from start to finish? If someone sees this and they go, man, I really could use his services. What happens?
I would suggest, I have a challenge called the Quick Wins Challenge. And this is what I would recommend. You can find it at quickWinsChallenge.com. And what is valuable about the Quick Wins Challenge is that, and depending on when you're seeing this, it's on sale right now. So I would take advantage of it. So literally, if you would normally be spending $400 an hour for me to coach you or give you strategy, for a very small amount of money compared to that, you're going to get 5 mini sessions with me where literally we get laser beam focused on what is this clarity that you need in order to get on the platform and be well. Who are you? The Japanese have a concept called ikigai, and I think we kind of took it, and some marketing people kind of took it and leveraged it in a different way than the initial intended purpose, but it works. You need to figure out the intersection of what it is that you're passionate about, what it is that you do well, what it is that others need, what it is that others are willing to pay for. And when you look at the bullseye of that, that's a great place for you to start in terms of your content creation. And so with the Quick Wins Challenge, I help people get clarity on how to accomplish one specific objective related to their social media. And then in 5 sessions, so we get clarity in the first session, and then over the next 4 sessions, I help you to move the needle forward and actually get some wins. And I recommend that because it's very easy for you, for less than $100, it's very easy for you to see, okay, if David works with me to get clarity and I take advantage of his strategies, I can win.
Hmm.
And then if someone wants to dive deeper, we have a community called Content Creating Academy that they can become a part of, where on a weekly basis we have a Zoom meeting and we go over strategies of what's working now.
Hmm.
We also help people. And for a while, I didn't realize. I just thought, oh, okay, well, I'll help people with their social media and everyone will be fine. But then I particularly usually attract someone in their 40s or 50s, and they want to create an online business. Many of them are coaches, so they don't really know how to create that part. So
Correct.
then I realized, oh, okay, so then you need to learn how to do a webinar. You need to learn, um, you need to learn how to make an offer stack in order to sell this valuable service to others. And so that became another offer. And then we included that in Content Creating Academy as well, so that people could initially get clear on how to use social media and then also how to create a digital ecosystem for the people you wish to serve online.
How many coaches do you have in the academy, or is it just you and you have other people?
I have, I'm, how should I put this? We have three coaches. We have a fourth coach eventually who will start coaching, but we have predominantly me. And then we have a couple other coaches that specialize. We have Coach Simone who specializes in automation. She's a beast at it. And right now, I told her this week, I believe, I told her, quite frankly, right now, um, your world should be exploding and jumping off. And I'm glad that I knew you when, but I won't be surprised if you get so busy that you're not able to help me like you did before. I'm saying that because I think finally people are perceiving how serious the times that we live in are in terms of what corporations are going to do with AI. Um, I don't know if you ever watched Diary of a CEO. Yeah, do you watch that podcast?
No, I've heard of it. I don't think I really tuned in.
So Stephen Bartlett is the CEO, entrepreneur extraordinaire over in the UK, and so he's having these wonderful conversations with different CEOs that give us insight into key critical areas. And in one of his, he has another like behind the scenes channel. And he talked about the fact of what he said in a memo to his people and what a couple other, Fiverr, I think, and a couple other major corporations have started saying. They say to people, don't come to us with any new hires. Don't ask to be able to hire anyone new until you have checked to see if it's possible to use AI to accomplish the same thing. What does that mean?
That's where it's going.
That means if you don't understand how to use AI yourself,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be replaced not not just by AI, but initially by someone who knows how to use
Knows how to
AI.
use it. Absolutely. Yep.
So it's like so I am really passionate about this because I know how much time it's taken me to learn these different systems, and I'm concerned about what's going to happen
Mhm.
as this shift occurs.
Yeah.
Right, because like you're going to need to have the assistance of someone who's actually already done the the path. So you're going to want to not waste time trying to figure out everything for yourself when you can get the help of someone who's already done
Absolutely. That's what coaching is. It's kind of moving from the first to the goal without, going through all the hoops of learning and making mistakes. That's what a coach is. They walk you through the steps that you can avoid in advance.
it. Mm.
Uh, my last question, I want you to go in on this one. Um, New to social media. Okay, I'm giving you kind of an imaginary scenario. New to social media, afraid to be on camera. What would advice would you give that person? Because we have people who I have clients, and I think it's in any field, that they are waiting for the perfect storm. Their hair doesn't look right, the weather ain't right. They need equipment. It's something that's always stopping them from doing the thing they need to do. So what would you do with someone like that? Because I talk to a lot of realtors all the time, and I'm like, you got to make content. You got to let people know that you're an expert. Oh, I'm afraid. So how would you say that to someone who comes and says, Dave, look, I'm just shy. You seem comfortable on camera. I just don't like how I look. Whatever the excuse is for the day. What would you
Woo!
advise them?
Hmm. What you just said is an appropriate deep dive question because I thought people just needed to learn the strategy on how to do
Mhm.
the thing. I didn't realize how many of the people, even when you give them the strategy, their self doubt would sabotage them. So I would say that you're going to need to do some mindset work in order to tackle this beast. So I mentioned Simone, my other partner, Coach Danny. He has a book about mind shift
Mhm.
that's coming out, and I want to say this. uh, I want to answer your question in a non self-serving way.
Sure.
I've had clients who I've helped who have varying degrees of this issue, who I've helped to get stuff done. Depending on the level of severity of the anxiety would depend upon the solution. And are there solutions where you decide, you know what? I am going to literally you have the option to create an AI persona.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah. So then the question really is, all right, if you want to become the trusted authority, are you willing to do the mental work necessary to overcome your fears? And if so, then you get a coach to help you with that. Because the strategy to do social media and then overcoming your self concept, those are two different issues that you need to handle,
Hmm.
right? So I would say it like that. And it's one last thing. It's a process.
Hmm.
I just listened. I just read and listened to a book that talked about the deep work to actually permanently, and I use that word in quotes because, yeah, it's permanent, but is not fully permanent. Our self talk
Hmm.
determines a lot about how we feel about ourselves. And so we have to get into what it is that we believe, why we believe what we believe, what it is that we're telling ourselves.
Yeah.
And then long term, we need to surround ourselves with an environment that is the
Hmm.
antidote to that. We need to get accountability to make sure we're doing the process. If the process is that um, I'm visiting these beliefs that don't serve me, and there's always two sides to something, right? So that I'm now doing a mental shift through actually analyzing what's going on with this trigger. If you do this on a regular basis systematically, you'll overcome.
Yeah.
But it takes the commitment to go through that work. And
It's
anyone who says it other than that, I don't think they're being totally honest with you at the amount of work because what'll happen is you'll think that you'll go to a Tony Robbins event and you'll break a piece of wood and you'll go, hey, I did it. And then you'll get back to your hotel room and you'll be like, okay, I felt really good, but is that really going to stay here? Is that really is this really the new me? And so you're going to have to do something to really work on this on a systematic, regular basis so that you'll have the permanent change and be able to show up for yourself as the trusted authority that people can get to know, like, and trust.
I love it. Uh, that's so funny you said that. I just posted something exactly like that about on LinkedIn today
Mm,
about the thoughts and the concept of the meme I posted was if these people if your thoughts aren't serving you, You got to get new thoughts. So I used to say that with my personal training clients. They had stinking thinking,
Mm,
and it's true what you say. It's those little voices that you say to yourself, like when you talk, well, I just got a phone. I don't really have some fancy camera. And how am I going to edit all this stuff? And that turns into 2 weeks and then a month. And then you're back where
woo.
you said, back where you started. So this is fascinating stuff. I'm very impressed with what you do. And I wanted to have you on because so many people, like you said, they're looking for second income, side gigs, if you will. And you mentioned it, one of your coaches is all about the automation, and that's huge, And AI in the mortgage part of what I do, AI isn't involved in everything. I mean, we have
Mm.
whole underwriting that's all done by AI. I mean, so
Wow.
if you don't know how to use it, then you are going to get left behind. So, you mentioned that you had a special, and they can find that on the website. That's quickwinschallenges.com.
Yeah, quickwinschallenge.com.
Quick Wins Challenge, no S. Okay. And then, well, how can people follow you and find you so that they can benefit from your knowledge and maybe become a client?
Well, thank you for giving me an opportunity to share that. If you have a question you want to email me at david@contentcreatingacademy.com.
Mhm.
David@contentcreatingacademy.com. On Instagram, which is the platform, along with Facebook, that I'm most active, I'm David the Digital Creator. David the Digital Creator. On Facebook, I'm David Charles Griffiths or Orphan Helper. Um, and then on YouTube, I'm David Griffiths Music, relating to my earlier life as a gospel music
Hmm.
artist. And then on TikTok, David Griffiths '07.
Really
David
quick,
Griffiths
you,
'07.
you say you do a prayer every day. I kind of glanced at your TikTok before we came on. Is that something that people follow along, or is that your daily affirmation or just what's on your mind in the moment and you're sharing it?
The, and it literally is the vehicle that when I did what I told you that my coach recommended, picking 8 to 10 things and seeing what your audience wants. That's what people
Yeah.
responded the most to. And what I found, I didn't tell you the origin story. I have a friend at the beginning of the pandemic. I have a friend who's a motivational speaker, Jeff Vargas. He organized something called Dudes Chat, where we had a Zoom, and those of us who went to high school together, uh, we just got together and had convo and encouraged one another. And one of our friends, Kevin, his mom had just passed, and he asked me if I'd sing a hymn every morning on Facebook to help him get through that loss. So when I said yes, I didn't realize just Kevin and people who already knew me would be able to be blessed by that. But if I wanted new people to discover, then I have to do something else, like pay for ads. And that's when I discovered that TikTok was the best place for organic growth. So
Yes.
that's where it began. It was me seeking to be a blessing for a friend who lost his mother and wanted me to sing a hymn every morning. And as part of that morning worship, I would also pray and give a little inspirational thought. And then when I went over to TikTok, you couldn't have longer videos, so I broke that up into different pieces. And the prayer part went. Uh, that was what got the most engagement, and
Yep.
people started DMing me and asking me advice, and I was like, wow. So people are really hungering and thirsting for this kind of experience. So that's where
Yes.
that.
So, well, David, I appreciate the wisdom you share here and come visit our little neighborhood. And one word of advice or one good affirmation for the end of this year. We're halfway through. With all the craziness going on, what would you say as a spiritual man, which I like, what advice would you give to anybody listening? Maybe just need something positive.
Hmm. Focus first. Whew. Focus first.
Focus
Um,
first.
Focus first. I was just on a call with a new. I just hired a new executive assistant, and I'm on the phone with her, and we're going through. I wanted to make sure she had a clear vision of what we're working on, and so she was going, "Oh wow, oh this is a lot. Um, I'm wondering where I should start." And I said, "Well, the key is just focus on one thing first. If you just focus on one thing, you won't be overwhelmed, and then we can make a plan to do each of the other things afterwards." And then she started feeling so much better. She was like, "You're right. I was just trying to process it all at once." There's craziness going on in our world.
Yes, sir.
So much stuff that literally I'm surprised more people do not lose their minds. And so when I say focus first, whether it's you looking at what you want to do as an individual in your life, what do I want to do that's going to give me joy? Or how do I want to contribute and have a legacy? As you consider these different things, I regularly use AI as a sounding board to help me make decisions. But once I do that, you need to just slow down and focus first. Focus on one thing and just make your plan towards that one thing. And then just take one action towards the one thing.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there. Focus first. David Griffiths, thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome.